I think my computer is going to die at some point in this whole show with what I'm viewing things on. John is here. That's good. Drinking Coca-Cola or something.
Maybe whiskey and Coca-Cola.
Whiskey in a can. Some sort of LaCroix, little sparkling water. Okay. Yeah, this I haven't had a rosé in a while. We've done a rosé. It's been a while, right?
A while.
Fall.
Yep.
At some point, probably we had a couple. Kind of nice.
Well, we're gonna be swimming in rosé in about a week.
That's good. Hopefully, we're gonna be swimming in 70-degree weather and lots of people outside. It smells like last summer, which is kind of great. And we've talked about rosé how many times in the last like 3 or 4 tastings. Everyone and their uncle is doing a rosé if they haven't already done one.
Well, we're going to try an Italian one Friday night.
That's right.
For 2026.
2026, which I'm curious to learn the origins of that name.
And it has something to do with bricks and I think acidity.
Oh.
Like they wanted to hit those particular numbers perfectly.
It's kind of a cool label.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got here? 1 minute, 48 seconds. All right, we're gonna go. We're gonna rip and roar it 2 minutes because millions of people have already logged on. Okay, everybody, welcome to episode 51 of the Barriques Coffee, Wine, and Treat Show. Finn and I are obviously not in the same place. It is a lot of work to get this thing set up by yourself. I mean, it took forever.
Well, between the lighting and we don't have a lighting crew and a camera crew.
I know the camera crew was failed. Like I couldn't get the shot centered. I'm still not exactly sure I got the shot centered. I've come a long way, but I think I did a pretty good job on the display. Although you end up usually doing that, and Jesus, it's a lot of bottles. Why don't you get home from vacation? Come on. We have I'm pretty excited because we're going to talk about the first rosé of 2021, which is pretty great. We've been doing these virtual tastings for every Friday so far this year, and have talked to a lot of producers that everybody's talking about rosé. I mean, literally, it is one of those trends in the wine world that since we've been in the business back in 1998, you see, things come and go. Rosé kind of hit, and it continues just to get more and more and more popular. I see no slowing down.
Yeah, wasn't it just last Friday night? Our guest had said 2021 is going to be the year of rosé.
I mean,
it's going to be a big year for rosé.
Well, it's kind of like saying in 2000 it was the year of champagne, and then of course, then the next year it was the year of oh my God, no one wants to buy any champagne. This is like the antithesis of that. Every year, people say this is the year of rosé. Maybe not last year, but certainly. Maybe he's right insofar as people are going to be like, oh my gosh, I got to get outside. They're going to be, doing stuff with big groups of people. Maybe it will be the year of rosé, but I don't think 2022 is going to be any different. I don't see any reason why it would.
Yeah, rosé is going to definitely be on the increase for at least 4 to 5 more years.
Certainly, all the producers. I mean, I think literally every single one of them in the last, let's call it 10 tastings. We haven't necessarily done a rosé, but they've talked about their rosé project, just universally,
including Unshackled.
For sure, I know, right? Even the prisoner. Well, maybe the wheels are coming off the bus, but certainly it means good things. Like people, I think, like quality-wise and expectation-wise, we're trending up. It's not. I don't think they're. I think things are getting better, actually, not the quality isn't necessarily getting worse.
Right.
Anyway, so let's throw an audible and let's just talk about the rosé, since we're talking about the rosé. And you couldn't remember if the rosé that we pitched at the beginning of this week was one of those ones that we bought on spec, because we do that sometimes when we deal with a distributor or an importer that we're familiar with, or if the Marqués de Glane was one of those wines that we tried. You don't recall?
It's tough to recall because, we start tasting the new vintage rosés by the end of January.
Yeah.
So this, we're coming up on a month and a half ago where I was first sampling some of the typically a lot of times, sometimes it's barrel samples. And you have to kind of look through and try to figure out where will this wine be, a month from now or 2 months from now when it arrives, or 6 months later, that it, isn't tasting all like bubble gum or anything like that.
Yeah, this is definitely not. And certainly we did something a little different with this Monday email this week. People kind of dug the rosé. We sold a fair bit of it. Not highly discounted. It's $13.99 a bottle, so sits on the wall of 100. It's very affordable. I think strikes that right balance between being, a healthy amount of fruit, but not sweet, and certainly it's not bone dry by any stretch of the imagination. I would actually say, for the color, which looks really light, which I'm sure you can't see, it drinks.
You can see in the bottle.
Yeah, it drinks meatier than the color might indicate. It's one of those things that this is, buy a bunch of it, throw it on ice, get a bunch of friends on the patio once everything is like we can do that. And this is a great little bottle of wine. Trying to think what it reminds me of. The Olivares, maybe a little bit, maybe not quite as cherry as that.
Probably a little bit more citrus to it than the Olivares.
Yeah, it's quite good. So this rosé, as well as all the other things that we're going to talk about tonight, are available for sale on the barriquesmarket.com website, because that's what we're here to do, is to sell some stuff. Maybe talk about a few things and learn some stuff. I watched Finn the other day because I was kind of wanting to go back and look at what happened a year ago, right about now. Our stores were closed still until I think tomorrow was the first day that we basically may have opened a couple of them back up. But when we were talking to the staff, we pitched this, we might do this QVC-esque show and, pitch some products or whatever. I wouldn't have thought we were going to be here at episode 51 still doing this, which is kind of funny. And
yeah, the setup was a little bit more raw.
So maybe for episode 52, our year anniversary, we'll have to show a couple pictures of the first setup, which I'm pretty sure that first episode I hadn't shaved in months, or in solid, it had been a long time. We were looking pretty haggard at that point.
Yeah.
But this rosé is out there and available for sale. If you go under the events section, CWT for the Coffee, Wine, and Treat Show, which is what you're watching, and then the March 24th show, all the stuff that we're going to talk about today is there, including this rosé, which is delicious. And even though it's kind of gray and been rainy, it's been 50 here. It's not too bad. I can there's no snow on the ground. I can see the future. It's pretty good stuff. So, okay. Let's talk about, speaking of things to look forward to in the summer. I'm not exactly sure when it will happen. Maybe middle of April, late April. All of a sudden, instantaneously, it becomes gin and tonic season. And Finn, I can already see you've started to think about gin. Your opinion on gin is that it generally only sells in this small window of time, in bulk anyway, between that gin and tonic time and some point in the summer, and then it's kind of a product category that's tough to move. But the Starlight is a new product that we just brought in this week. What can you tell us about it?
Well, you're right about the gin season. I say pretty much it's April 15th to June 15th. This
Yes.
is is the major push for the gin season.
That's right.
And then people move on to other cocktails, margaritas for July, 4th of July, things like that. But I had an opportunity to taste this along with the Starlight Bourbon and various whiskeys that some of them are coming in, some will be coming in later on. But the one interesting part about this family, these people who own the Huber Starlight Distillery and Winery, the family are avid gin fans. And so when they put it to the brothers that they needed to produce a gin for the family because they are avid hang out on the patio in the afternoon and have a gin and tonic, they had to come up with a rock star or they would be basically lose their job as a family member. So they took the gin very seriously and they're very passionate about what they're making. And this particular one, it's I would say it's a little bit more forward, a little bit more citrusy to it. It has a kind of a nice vanilla creme brulee spice note to it, but it really marries great into a gin and tonic. You know, I wouldn't call this a martini gin. I would call this definitely a gin and tonic with a wedge of lime. You know, straight up, kind of that perfect summertime gin.
Yeah, I should have opened some, and although it would have been bad, I've got 2 bottles of wine open. I'd be throwing gin and tonics down. I wouldn't make it to minute 25 of this whole thing. It would be a bad thing. But I'm excited for it. I hope my wife is out there. She likes gin every once in a while. It's kind of fun to have a new product. I mean, this is the first time we've really had access to this, from what I understand.
Yeah, this is the first release into our market, pretty much. So
cool.
New.
So, what's that?
Yeah, it's new.
New. Woo! The Starlight is, I want to say, $25.99 for this. It's a pretty nice package. I like it's hefty, clear, easy to read. Kind of stands out from the shelf. It's a nice bottle, and I'm looking forward to doing the gin and tonic thing once it becomes that season. So if you're looking for a new gin, and I think that generally reasonably new in the Wisconsin or in the Madison market anyway, give the Starlight a try. It's available at Fitchburg, Middleton, and Monroe Street. Right, Finn?
Correct.
All right. Yeah. Okay. There we go. We don't have a ton of it. We also do have, though, their bourbon. I did see that we brought their bourbon as well.
Yeah, and then we have a special cast strength one that's on order, but we're not expecting that one until probably May, and that's going to be a big whiskey geek one. I do believe a couple of the local whiskey groups are already circling, so that one may not last very long.
Speaking of not lasting very long, I have to ask because the Edinburgh, the rhubarb and ginger gin.
Rhubarb, yeah, the rhubarb gin.
Well, I mean, you usually have a phobia for flavored. I mean, for like I would say explicitly flavored gin. Why?
That was a special order for a particular customer, and other people tried it and they, fell in love with it. But it's not my deal. It's not. I don't know. It's just like all the flavored vodkas. I mean, it's kind of like, who wants Fruit Loop flavored vodka? I mean, if I want to have gin, I want to have gin. I don't want to have, Fruit Loop flavored gin.
I mean, how you got to wonder, like, who got in a room and said, I have an idea. Let's do rhubarb and ginger. I mean, those two things are not even flavors that I would think to like marry together. I don't know. Yeah. My rhubarb probably never has ginger in it. It's unusual, but only in Fitchburg, I think. Right? Is that what you? Yeah. Okay. Well, we're not here to talk about Edinburgh rhubarb and ginger gin, but if that floats your boat, we do. It just literally showed up just the other day. So let's move on to our tastings, and I'm going to just skip the things that are kind of last minute, and let's go right to Argentina, a place that Finn, you and I have had the opportunity to get down to a number of times. Very fortunate to get down there a number of times. And we've got the Zorzal winery. One of my favorite wines from quarantine has been that Revolutionary wine from, I think, Jumpy's brother, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was, it originally started out that we were hoping to get Jumpy's brother on, but apparently he doesn't speak a lick of English.
That would be tough because I don't speak any Spanish, and I certainly would be a bad translator. But I buy a case of that every once in a while, and that is one of my go-to wines since we tried it. It's just great. But John Chaplin is here with us. I'm going to bring him on. I think he looks ready. He threw a black hat on just to make sure that he matched with the rest of us here. There you go.
I went blue on it a little bit, but I saw you guys wearing hats. I was like, I got to jump in on it.
Very good.
I'm a big hat wearer myself too. Plus, I got a lot of gray coming in, every which way inside.
I mean, too, so. Tell me about it. So, John, this will be the third time, I think, that you've joined us for one of these events. And we did Uruguay, which was not a place that probably a lot of people thought of in terms of wine, and they were awesome. And then, Finn, what was the, what am I drawing a blank?
It was the Alpa and Viña Mecha.
Right, with David, with Marcel.
Yeah.
The Alpa is the other one. I buy cases of the Revolutionary and the Alpa as my, like, they're so easy to drink, lighter in alcohol really is what is kind of my attraction, and just like no nonsense and delicious. And we've got now the Zorzal winery coming up 2 weeks or a week from Friday, so April 2nd. Tell us, we have the winemaker again, which is super awesome. Tell us what we can expect from the tasting in a week.
Yeah, for sure. So thanks again for having me for a third time too. You guys are great. I really appreciate it. So the winemaker, his name is Juan Pablo Michelini, and he's part of this group of 4 Michelini brothers who kind of started out with Zorzal. And like you were saying, the Via Revolucionaria wines are from Matias, which is his other brother. But so Juan Pablo will be the one coming on next Friday. They call him Wampy. Wampy is kind of his nickname. And he's the youngest brother. Great guy. He's the head winemaker at Zorzal. Plays a lot of guitar, too. He's a big guitar player. And just a really good guy. You know, he's this like younger guy, mid-30s, big beard. I think he has 4 kids now, possibly a 5th, but I think it's just 4 right now. But just someone who is like extremely passionate about wines and speaks English very well. His brother Matias from Via Rev does not speak as well as Wampy, but Wampy speaks very well. So it'll be easy for him to communicate. And it's great. You know, Zorzal is this winery in Argentina in a region called Gualtayeri, which is in the Uco Valley. It's this really high elevation region. And that's what kind of makes the winery what it is. So there's a lot of limestone in the soil. It's kind of Argentina, but a little bit of brighter side of Argentina, really fresh kind of side. They focus on terroir. They focus on fruit, kind of a little more fruit-driven wines. And a lot of the wines they do is with no oak in general. So I know some of the wines you guys are going to have, you're going to showcase one of the Ego wines, which is in a big concrete egg. And then a great little Pinot Noir that got some rock star press at 92 points, I think, from Wine Advocate, really delicious. And then I think you're doing one of the Grand Terroir wines. I'm not sure exactly which is the third.
Malbec, yep.
Malbec, yep.
The 2018 Malbec.
Yep, and that's really a great wine, and Wampy will talk all about it, but that's kind of from a single vineyard, a single little plot, and then it's about 12 months on oak on that one too. So it's a little bit richer, a little bit more modern in style, maybe, for that.
Cool. You know, so I'm not sure we did this back with some of the other tastings we did with you, but we've gone to just try to make it maybe a little more affordable and give people some more options. Instead of just doing 3 bottles, we might pair 2 of them up and then give 2 bottles that are sort of bonus bottles if people want to spend the money on them. We decided to go with all the 3 reds as the base tasting pack on this thing, which is really, it's a super reasonable $45. And we left the white out as the one outlier. Normally we keep the white in those three, but I figured you have to try the reds, and you really have to, like, the white, I think, is the wine that I'm probably the most excited about. Not that I'm not excited about the others, but I'm super fired up about the Ego, and I hope people will enjoy spending a little bit of extra money to get that fourth bottle.
How much is the Ego as a fourth bottle for people? Do you know what
You're
yours are
going to
doing?
ask me that question, and I will tell you. I want to say 20 bucks.
20
So
bucks.
it's 20 bucks, like, straight up. But if you buy the group of them, like the whole thing, if you do all 4 bottles, it would technically be 67, 68 bucks, and we're doing it for 63. It's a lot of wine for 63 bucks. Not to mention you're going to talk to the winemaker from Argentina. I mean, I don't know. That's a pretty good deal.
It's a killer deal. I mean, also just to let you know, on that Ego Sauvignon Blanc, I gave you guys a little bit of a better deal on it too, since you were doing this Zoom with Wampy. That typically retails closer to about $28, just in general. So everybody should know that they're getting a really good deal on this. This is something that ourselves and Left Bank and you guys are giving everybody a good deal. So if it's something that you're kind of on the fence for people, this is something that is kind of a special price and a special wine too.
Yeah. Well, I'll maybe do a little modification of our description. And if I didn't realize the retail was that high. That's great. Thank you for helping people out and getting them a chance to enjoy the wine. We've heard about the eggs. The concrete eggs have been part of a lot of the tastings that we've done. I mean, this thing is named after the fact that that's where this thing is, where it grows up. So I'm looking really forward to it.
Yeah, in the past we've also had like their Ego Cab Franc, and there's one other Ego. There's another red.
They do 3. They do a Pinot Noir, a Cabernet Franc, and then they do a Malbec too.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen the Pinot Noir.
Maybe it was the Tinto de Tisa is what it's called, the Malbec, which is yeah. The wines are great. I mean, Zorzal is really kind of they started in 2007, 2008. But it's one of the more kind of up and coming wineries in the region too. It always gets really good press, and they've been pushing the frontier of what kind of wine is about in Argentina and in the Uco Valley specifically.
Excellent.
So.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to hopefully getting a chance to get down there again. I'm sure you guys are as well. But John, thanks very much for joining us. We're looking forward to. Are you gonna be able to join us next Friday? I know you've tagged in on the last couple.
For sure. Yeah, I'll be happy to join you guys. I really like talking with Wampy. He's fantastic. I'm listening to him speak too. He has a great way about him and how he talks about the vineyards, and he's just really likable. So and he's a friend. Cool. So I will do it. I before I get off, you guys talked about Rosé, and you got me all excited about Rosé. I have a new one coming in that I'm just going to shoot you a sample. I don't even want to talk about it, but it's coming your way. Okay?
Oh, awesome.
Specifically,
Sweet.
it's not in Wisconsin yet. So.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, it's the year of Rosé, as I'm sure you heard Finn say. So giddy up. There we go.
I can't believe it. Rosé just keeps growing every year.
I know.
And I think you're right. I think, Matt, you were saying that people are going to be excited to be outside this year, this summer specifically.
Yep.
I think people are going to be crushing Rosé. So, anyways, thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, John. Appreciate you coming on with us again. Okay. Cool. So that should be a lot of fun. That is February 2nd. As we had said, the base tasting pack with the 3 red wines, a Malbec, 2 Malbecs actually, and a Pinot Noir is $45 for a few dollars more. And what sounds like maybe we mispriced things a little bit. So good for you, bad for us. You can add their Ego Sauvignon Blanc for an additional like $18 and change, I want to say. From what it sounds like, I think we're selling it for $19.99. Should be $28.99. That's a pretty darn good deal. Closer to home, though, tomorrow we're doing the 4th edition of our virtual wine and trivia. We have a gentleman by the name of Martin Lee who has done all of these with us. He's kind of a trivia guru. He does these. This is kind of his hobby. I Is that a way to describe it, Finn, or what he just really enjoys doing?
Right. He just has he doesn't really do it for the money. It's more of he loves he's like a comedian. It's just the way he delivers the questions and makes you second guess, even though you know the answer. You're like, wait, is that the right answer?
Yes. Don't ever based on how he delivers the question, don't necessarily assume an answer. Is what I've learned in 4 episodes or 3 episodes of this. But so that is Thursday night, 7 o'clock. There are 4 wines in the tasting pack that are available in the tasting pack. You can purchase just 2 of those to participate in the tasting. It's $23.99, so really inexpensive. A lot of fun if you get a buddy or 2. We've got 4 rounds of trivia of various categories and a music round that sort of plays throughout just to kind of keep it lively. And then, of course, you have the wine, which we will talk about. And then on Friday, Elena Walch and with Mitch Schroeder, who some of you may have had a chance to listen to and hear on this show last week. We're going to be doing wines from this Italian wine producer, a place that we have carried their Pinot Grigios in particular for a very long time. It's a woman-driven winery. We have Elena and her 2 daughters right now who are currently kind of running the show there. So this should be a lot of fun. It's $31.99 for the 2 bottles, and you can add 2 more. The Schiavo, which is the one of the reds, we're doing their Pinot Grigio and the Schiavo red as the base 2 wines. I understand, Finn, you were unable to find the Schiavo down in dear Florida. That's penance for being on vacation right now.
Everywhere I go, I find the other like big red for the Alto Adige, and that's the Lagrein. I find the Lagrein everywhere, but the Schiavo is definitely a little bit more unique. But
sure.
If you put the 2 together, the Schiavo is so much better.
I mean, it was
realistically, it's so much more pretty, fresh. The spice. I mean, it's a smoking red.
It is, and we had the opportunity when we tried it. We tried it with a lot of other wines, so it had an opportunity to just blend in. But it clearly was one of those ones that stood out for their wines. I mean, it was. I took that bottle home that night of all the other bottles that we had sitting there. So that is this Friday. Still an opportunity if you were to purchase either of those 2 tasting packs. It may tell you can't pick it up for a couple days, but we will. If you buy them, we will make sure they are ready for you to pick up no later than noon tomorrow. And then fast forward now a number of weeks. So beyond the 2nd of April. Castoro Cellars. So, Finn, we've had some of the Castoro wines in the store in the past. Give us the lowdown on why we chose to do an event with these guys, and remind me what we've had. The Cab, is it the Cab and the Zin in the store before, or I couldn't recall.
We've sold the Cab, the Zin, and the Sauvignon Blanc.
And the Sauv Blanc. Okay.
And at various points.
Yeah.
And the winemaker, Tom, he's going to be on with us. He's been in the business a long time. We're not going to hold it against him. He's a Michigan Spartan from his formative years. But he'll be on. Super nice guy, very knowledgeable. All this fruit comes from down in the Paso Robles area. They are primarily... I think they're almost exclusively all organic now. I think they're waiting for the actual stamp certification to be able to put it on their bottles. But remember, it was the same day we tried the Scava.
Yeah.
We had those 4 or 5 cases of wine that we were ripping through, and the Castoro wines, they stood out. I mean, any other cabs that were $4 or $5 more a bottle didn't touch it.
Top to bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very solid set of wines.
So the only wine that we have not actually had in the store in the past, the base tasting pack is just 2 bottles of wine, the Cab and the Sauv Blanc. The one that we haven't had is the Chardonnay, which is in the list. So you can add and upgrade that tasting pack. The base one is only $28.99, so it's pretty inexpensive. And as Finn said, Tom Myers, the winemaker for Zorzal Cellars, is going to be online with us that night, walking us through the wines. We have yet to be disappointed with one of these winemakers. They always have. It's funny. Almost all of them are fairly skeptical that we're actually going to spend an hour talking about 2 or 3 or 4 wines. The ones that always like push that hour and a half plus mark with no problem.
Well, it's partially because of the people that are out there listening. They ask good questions.
For sure.
If you don't ask questions, then they ramble on and the night ends. But people ask good questions, and it inspires them to tell you more.
Well, and they have the great in-depth answers. I mean, they know, like, their hands are on the grapes. They've made all the choices for the particular wine, so they've got all the history with this stuff. So anyway, so that is April 9th. And somebody said, did I say a while ago February 2nd? No. The Zorzal is April 2nd. Hopefully I didn't say February 2nd. Let's please not go back in time. Let's just move forward.
Yeah, well, that would be Groundhog Day.
That would be bad. I don't need Groundhog Year anytime very soon. So trivia this Thursday, Elena Walch on Friday. The following Friday, we are going to be doing the Zorzal Argentinian wines, and then the following Friday after that, on the 9th of April, the wines from Zorzal Cellars. Lots of things to participate in. Try to make these as economical as possible. And if you have friends who are kind of into wine and just kind of curious to learn just a little bit more, like more in depth from what you can get from a bottle, or maybe even from standing up with somebody in a tasting, like having the actual winemaker for some of these things is a pretty awesome experience. The Zorzal one is going to be fun. Straight from Argentina, like how can you beat that? That's pretty great. Okay, so last thing of the night. Well, I do want to mention, I did put a coffee in here. Purely, we have a bunch of new coffees we've coming into the store. We talked a little bit about last time. The new Congo, which I tried the other day, which was fantastic. We'll probably talk about that, Finn, next week. But I did want to make one more plug for our new Colombian. We do a ton of stuff with the Colombian Cordillera Central, like one of the most popular coffees that we have. But we brought our first, I would call it like, truly high-end specialty Colombian with the La Ilusión Natural. We brewed it at Monroe Street today, and that's the reason I wanted to talk about it again, because I am not going to go to bed early tonight, because I was drinking that thing. I just kept going back, how I just like nibble until like 4 o'clock, and I'm like, stop, because it was good out of the press. I'll have to say I liked it out of the drip brewer, maybe a little bit more, because that's my preference. That's a great coffee.
Well, and the exotic qualities are right up front when it's really hot, but then as soon as it takes a couple of degrees of temperature off, where it starts to get to that point where you can actually start to pound it back a little bit, it gets that nice kind of creamy texture that fills the whole palate. It's so smooth. And you still get all these funky nuances, but it's like that beautiful creaminess that comes across. That's amazing about that coffee.
It is, and it's good cold. I had multiple cups that I drank part of and was drinking it at all temperatures. So anyway, take advantage of that, because that is not going to be here very long. And the last thing for this evening is our email special. We did this in complete reverse order. A little baby Super Tuscan. So when you call a wine, Finn, a Super Tuscan or baby Super Tuscan, as you did with the Il Molino de Grace Il Volano, why do you call it that? What makes it a baby Super Tuscan?
Well, you know, in the wine world, people always love to throw around big names and big wineries backgrounds, and the ultimate big super Tuscan was Sassicaia, that kind of broke the mold coming out of the 1940s into the 50s by planting non-traditional Italian varietals in Tuscan soils and blending those varietals in with the Sangiovese. And those wines had no name for them. They couldn't call themselves a Chianti, they couldn't call themselves a Brunello or a Vino Noble, because they had no history, no moniker to go with them. So they took on this tongue-in-cheek name of Super Tuscan, which in comparison to the counterparts were way bigger, more muscular, a lot more wood to them and things like that. But it was that blending of Sangiovese with non-traditional Italian varietals. And so with this one does not see as much wood as you would see in like in a Super Tuscan. It is a lot of new wood, but it is Sangiovese with a little bit of Merlot added in. So it's not a big Super Tuscan, it's a baby Tuscan. Yeah, gotcha. But it's very friendly. You know, it's a friendly, classic Italian aromatic and texture. You know, as far as the Sangiovese is concerned, and it's a good food wine. You know, it's definitely a wine for game and grilling and, you know, that type of cuisine.
And as you said, like, I think just while you're cooking, it's a great wine just to drink. I mean, it's kind of just one of those, I'm not going to call it table wine because you called it a baby Super Tuscan, but it's very utilitarian. You could do it with pizza, you could do it with spaghetti, meat dishes, a lot of different things. And it smells oh so Italian is the way, what I liked about it. I mean, immediately it's tempered down a little bit because I've had it open for a little while, but you can, even with my not very trained nose, I could tell immediately that it was an Italian wine. So a lot of fun. We've sold a lot of this stuff. It may, at the store of your choice, be a little light at inventory, but we'll get stuff replenished by Friday. The deal on this thing was it was $15.99 regular price, which is, I mean, we could have sold it at that and you still would have been very happy, but $12.99 was what the deal price was, which, I mean, at that price, it's as good as it gets, hardcore wall 100 pricing. The only comment I had is I don't want to be the two guys that are on the front label. They look like they're not having a lot of fun. I know you said this was from a piece of artwork on the winery, but they look like they're like heavy into some manual labor there. I don't know. Anyway, they don't look like they're having fun, but I'm having a lot of fun drinking. So there we go. So that's the show for tonight. I don't know, Finn, anything else that we didn't cover today that we probably should mention? I don't think I forgot anything this time.
This is number 51.
This is 51. We'll be together for episode 52, which should be good.
Yep.
I'll be happy to have you set up again. I need some pizza. So enjoy your time away, Finn, and travel safely home. And thank you, everybody, for joining us for another edition of the Barriques Coffee, Wine, Treat Show. We will be back here for 52 in person together. In fact, we may have a crowd because I think my whole crew is going to be back. So actually, they're going to have to come and join us. It should be a lot of fun. Thanks, everybody. You guys have a good rest of your week and weekend, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Cheers.
Good night.
Good night. End. It does not want to end.